Okay, so the first thing you need to do to sew a button on is you have to put your buttonholes. So if you have your buttonholes, if you have a shirt going, then you would put your buttonholes on your shirt first, and then you lay the two edges of your shirt together, and that where the buttonhole lies is right straight through. I mark with a pin after I've clipped open my buttonhole. That's where the button goes. Otherwise, you can't put the buttons first and then the buttonholes. It will never line up. So this is just a simple one. It's just a loop. So there's my loop. And then I know where I want my button by just folding over my loop. And this is a stretchy loop, so it's okay, because even when I have stuff in it, it's going to lift a little bit, but I still don't want the button really high. I'm going ahead and putting it here. So I just mark that with a pin, or it's already marked with a hole from yesterday. Shame on me. When I sew buttons on, quite often, I like to put 2 threads in through the needle at the same time. That way I've got a total of 4 going, and it just makes it faster to get through the button. Instead of going through it 6 times, I can go through it 3 times. So I'm going to first make a knot. And the way I'm sewing this button on is a little bit different. It's for like a jacket, or in this case, this bag is helpful, is I'm going to make a thread shank on the back of it. A shank button is the kind of button that has the little, instead of the holes, it's got the post on the back. This one does not, but I still want to use it like a shank button, which means I want it to be recessed away from what I'm working on. So I've made a knot, and I like to start my knot to be underneath the button. So I'm just going to take a little grab of my bag there, and I know I'm going to put the direction of this thing going up and down. So I just put it through my button, lay it down there. And I want to create a little bit of a space between my bag and my button. So I'm just going to sew it on rather loosely, not super loosely, just loose enough so that I can recess it in a little bit when I'm done sewing it on. So I'm not pulling it really tight. And I am going straight all the way through to the back side, which is putting little thread marks on the lining of my bag, but oh well, doesn't bother me. Sometimes if you really want to hide that, you would sew it on before you put your lining, but I'm okay with it showing. And again, just going quite loosely in and out, not pulling it too snug. Some people put a pin across the threads so to keep it recessed, even a toothpick if they want a large recess. The other place that you would want a recess is on a jacket or a coat, because the thickness of your garment, if you put the button on super flat and tight, when you button it, you're going to have these terrible looking puckers. So you can see it's on there quite loose, and it's kind of separated from the bag that I'm using. So I've gone through there 3 times. That's good for this piece. So I'm coming back through from the bottom, and I'm just going to be right next to the stitchings that I've already made. And I'm just going to wind it around, tug it nicely, but I'm holding the button so it's not going to twist in a circle. So I'm wrapping my thread around what I just sewed on. So that creates a shank. And I am pulling it kind of snug. Every rotation I make, I snug it up and straighten it up a little bit. So if you look really closely, you can see that the button has thread wrapped around it. So that's actually raising it away from the bag a little bit. As you can see, it's lifted up. So, and it's not really high. I've seen button on coats, especially with a nice thick wool coat, you'll see it really raised out there to the point where it's like, whoa. But you can see it's a nice wrap. A nice wrap, yay. And all I do from there is go through a little tiny piece of fabric, and I don't pull it all the way tight until I grab that loop. The loop is what is going to offer me a bit of a snuggy little knot, but I like to do that twice just for insurance. How you knot your the end of your hand sewing, it's all about how you feel about, is it secure? Or sometimes you feel like, it'll do fine. And other times you want to actually make a knot in it. This, I just do the 2 loops, and quite often I'll just take a little dab of a product called Fray Check, Fray check. And what you do is you just put a little drop of it on your knot or whatever it is you're edging, finishing. Sometimes I just use a little dab of glue just on the threads themselves, nowhere else, because I don't want to get it on anything else. I just want it on the thread so that they won't come undone. So that is a shank version of a 2-hole button. Easy peasy, right?